Yeah.
You know when someone's better than you at something, you're like, oh, what a jerk.
Did you write down the 5 things that you noticed, or are we doing that right now?
Yeah, oh, let's do it. Can I drop my first one on you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I never got the 6 inches joke until.
Really?
So there's a scene where there's a coder, and the coder who works for Emil Harding, he does this program where when Toby Kebbell kills Vin Diesel's wife, or Ray's wife, he sticks a cow killer in her that has a 6-inch thing. And I didn't catch that in the beginning when Toby Kebbell says, can you handle all 6 inches? So later on, when KT says, and 6 inches isn't that big, and everyone goes, yeah, she's right. And then he asked later Emil about having some augmentation. I was like, why is there a penis joke in this movie? But then I learned in the beginning the 6 inches gag, and it tied it all back to each other. So that's because I never understood it. I'm like, why? I was like, why did she say that? But then I realized that was part of the code. So that was it.
Yeah, that's a pretty funny one. So I noticed there's a meta commentary running through this film about Vin Diesel's age as an aging action hero.
Oh, what'd you read?
No, I mean, there's just like a bunch of lines like Dalton calls him old man. Yeah, and it's just sort of these lines of like, Vin Diesel is not that old, and most of the action in this film is him digitized, or he is, 50 something. So it's like, it's pretty funny, like when you realize that Vin Diesel's allowing himself to be poked fun at.
Yeah, no, that's and not a lot of people do that. They make fun of him in this movie, and he gets dumped by his wife.
Yeah, he does.
5 years. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say that because I never picked up on how he said 5 years the first time I watched it. But when she says 5 years, that's a good line reading. He sounds really hurt and open and vulnerable. And 5 years. It's good. It's a good scene, and that's my number 2 because he sells that. There's an openness to him, and I dig it.
So then the next one for me is just pain. Does Bloodshot feel pain?
No, I don't think Bloodshot. I don't think he does. Right? There's no pain.
I know at the very beginning they cut his hand and he's like, "What up? What's that, Doc?"
Yeah.
But then he just doesn't feel pain for the rest of the movie, and I don't know if I want him to feel pain or just keep going with him being a tank. I have to think on that one.
I love that line. What's up, Doc? Like, oh, come on, Doc. All right, then my number 3 is I had this epiphany while watching a flower fight. These mercenaries, who are presumably the best that money can buy, drove through a tunnel. Now, I understand that it's probably the quickest route, and they were overconfident. Toby Kebbell's character knows what Bloodshot is. So I would just say, listen, it's going to take us an extra hour, but we need to not be trapped in a surface where there's a flower truck potentially there to kill us. And it's not... Listen, I've never been a mercenary, David. Neither of you, which I think. You're kind of dangerous.
Maybe.
Yeah, there's no... this bothers me. They're not a great team. They should just put the car in reverse, and Toby probably could have gotten out of there. But yeah, that's mine. That's my number 3.
It's a great scene, but also the setup's weird. So the third thing I noticed was Dr. Emil Harding's plan. It is so overly complicated. And why didn't he just program himself to be one of Bloodshot's friends and be like, you need to go do this, and like get rid of, you don't have to do all this like other stuff. It's very complicated.
He could have hired just a SWAT team or a sniper.
I don't know. It's just like, okay, because he has to wake up and explain to him every time. It would have been easier if he would have been like, if Ray woke up, recognized Dr. Harding, he's like, what am I doing here? He's like, well, you've been enhanced since you were killed. And like, it would solve all the problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a great point. Do they own that skyscraper too, or do they rent some floors?
That's a great question. I would imagine they own it because it feels like the type of bad guy who would own his own skyscraper.
Man, that's crazy. What a huge building. Oh man. All right, so let's see. I'm on my 4th.
Yeah.
All right, so I talked about one of those earlier with the $812 bill because that's the first time I ever thought about that. But I don't want to go back to that one. So let me go through my... Oh, you know what it is? We talked about this, but I always liked the special effects in this movie. But when I learned that it was on the short list for the Academy Awards, the scene where Guy Pearce meets with Ray on the South African Cape Town pier, the docks, and they render it into the set that they had talked in and where he was, that's wonderful VFX. That is, for $45 million, that is some really excellent stuff right there. I love the look of that. And it deserves its spot in the short list. But I had liked it, but I never had the jaw-dropping moment. So yeah, the scene where they talk and they build the world around him, it's beautiful. I love it.
And then my next one is Tibbs. And for anyone who can't remember his name, he's the blinded, I don't know, security guard who can see everything. He is by far the most impressive character in this film. By far. Like, his powers aren't really that great, and yet he's jumping everywhere. He takes Bloodshot out, like, by far the most. He's making the most of what he has. Like, that whole fight scene on the elevator when he's jumping around and doing all that stuff. He's just a regular dude. He's not super enhanced. So that was pretty cool. And then when he died, I was very sad. I'm like, oh, like, he clearly didn't want to be doing this, but he was doing it because he wanted to be able to see. And then Dalton killed him, which I guess heightens the how evil Dalton is.
I was so mad because think about it. You've been blinded by I think an explosion, shrapnel, like a IED, and someone says, "I'll give you your sight, but you have to work for me." That's tough. I mean, I guess rather than being dead, but that's a tough thing to have right there. And there's a warmth to the guy. And he seems really world weary. He seems quite bored with it. He knows there's one mission left, but he also knows if he doesn't do it, he'll never see again. And he's just stuck. So it gives him the most character.
Yeah, he's sort of the foil to KT. Like, KT decides to stand up for it and try to get away, and he decides to roll with it.
That's a great point. Oh, I love this movie. My fifth thing is that not Martin, that's Toby Kebbell. Jimmy, have I been calling Jimmy Martin the whole time? Oops. But yeah,
no,
so
you haven't.
Okay, so Sam as Jimmy Dalton, when he is so in the beginning when he gives Ray a tour, he's like, "I'll tell you everything later." And when Ray comes back from his first mission, they kind of wipe his brain. They insert more nanobites into him, which looks amazing. They insert more into him. But while he's unconscious, he goes through Jimmy and tells Ray everything. Expository dump. But what sells it is when he walks away, he says, "I promised, I told you I would tell you everything." So it comes back. He's just been doing it over and over, and he loves doing it because he's not the man. Ray's the man. However, what I finally noticed is I always thought he was smacking gum, and it really annoyed me because I hate gum smacking in movies. He's munching on a protein bar during his dump on his expository dump on Ray, which makes me like him even more. It's just this big beefy guy eating a protein bar and yelling at Bloodshot. This makes me happy.
His dick.
Yeah, and he's just munching on a protein bar. He's got his sweet whey bar, and he's talking smack to a guy. But I just think the touch of eating a protein bar is funny. And also, I want to say, for Vin Diesel's part, and I don't know about the casting and what went down, but bringing on the dude from Outlander into your movie, smart. Because people, I've never watched it, but the audience, I guess it's pretty toxic from what he said. Some of it. I guess there's always good fan bases, but then there's also the ones who take it way too far. It's like the Joe Dirt fans who are crazy. No, I'm joking. But it's smart, because that's probably $10 million right there if the theaters would have stayed open. So I like that move that he brought him in there. But yeah, it's my protein bar. Because I'm like, this dude's eating a protein bar while monologuing. Made me laugh.
Okay, so my I believe this is my last one. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is my last one, number 5. It has to do with the flower fight. The movie never addresses all the damage, just the massive amount of damage Bloodshot does everywhere he goes.
Oh yeah, everywhere.
And so when I was watching the flower fight, I was like, what do you think the newspaper called this? Because like people had to go clean it up and like, you know what I mean?
Whoa.
And here are some names for the event and / the killer. The flower fighter.
Do you think they use flowery language while writing the thing?
Oh yeah, this headline's like peak tabloids, British tabloids. So I was like, flower fighter, or Judge Dredged, or the half-baked butcher.
Whoa. That's it. The half-baked butcher. Oh, the half-baked butcher of Flower Town.
I was just like, because like I think that's hilarious. Just like someone's like, we have to write about 15 men being killed, murdered in a tunnel with a bunch of flour.
Imagine being the detective who gets the case, and you just okay. So there's 48 mercenaries, 12,000 bullet shells, grenade shrapnel, headshots, flour, death, smush cars. You would, and flour. Like what? I would quit.
I'm done, guys. I'm gonna go be a fisherman.
But yeah, it just made me happy. Seeing that made me okay. I just want to say real quick. And I also remember when we first watched this movie and Vin Diesel goes to kill Toby Kebbell, he just takes a truck that's randomly in the parking lot. What, you're thinking, why is he doing that? And then he knows how to fly a plane and this, that, and the other. But I like the very simple yada yada. It's that they set it up, it's all in his mind, it's all digital. But he can also fly all these planes in his head because of the nanobites.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he does actually fly the plane. But I love that it's the nanobites that do it. Not just, I flew one of these back in the day. Like the nanobites took control and learned for him. And that makes it so much more palatable with those two sentences to know.
All right, so I think we both did our 5. Do you have one more left?
Oh, I'm finally fully on board with how bored he looks while lifting weights.
Yeah, he's so surprised. That's funny. I have a kind of a bigger one that I didn't count as my 5 that I wanted to talk about, and maybe this will make me sound really ridiculous. Do you think the ending is real? Do you think like when I watched it the first time, I was like, oh, they're making a joke. Clearly they're riding off into the sunset. Then I watched it this time and I was like, oh wait, none of this is real. Like he got blown up and he's just recaptured.
Oh, I like to think that they're out and they're gonna go solve mysteries together, the 3 of them. I refuse to think that that's fake, because that would just change everything I think about this movie and make me really sad and just depressed. So I'm going with no, because I don't even want to think about that, David. This is horrible.
Yeah. The thing that this character is like, you can always just reset it. Like at any point, you can do Bloodshot and be like, you know what? That last move didn't happen. All programmed.
Yeah.
You never have to like follow continuity, honestly.
Oh man. No, I hope that it's all real, and that they're gonna go fight gigantic sea dragons, and KT can swim. Lamorne can stay in the van. He fought for the Kobe line, by the way, just to let you know. He's the one that kept the Kobe, like, because they wanted to get rid of it because it was released after Kobe's death, and so they were really justifiably sensitive about it. But he's like, no, we just got to honor him. We have to honor Kobe. So they kept that scene in. But I refuse. I refuse. That I feel 0.06% of my soul just died thinking that this might be fake, David, and I don't want to.
I mean, the next movie could start with KT breaking in to rescue him again.
Yeah. And then he's in the van.
Yeah.
I want to see them in a car, the 3 of them, just singing, I don't know, Despacito, or singing Bohemian Rhapsody, or Sixpence None the Richer. I just want to see the 3 of them in a car singing. That's what I want. Ooh. You know who the villain of the next movie should be?
Who?
Rosamund Pike.
That would be pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, she does villains really well.
I care a lot. Reunion.
You mentioned some behind the scenes stuff, and so there's 2 things I guess I can mention about behind the scenes. So the whole ending of the movie was redone at Sony's request, and what I read was that the original ending took place, or Dalton was killed in the water, the pool at the beginning, because Bloodshot destroyed his legs and then pushed him in the water and he drowned. And then Sony was like, can we make this ending bigger and less dark?
Oh, really? So then they did the elevator thing?
Yeah, that's how the elevator thing came about, because they're like, well, the director like clearly knows how to do really awesome